Microphone, chicka chicka, check 1 2 1 2. This is your host, not son, baby. And this is another episode of Swingers After Dark. You know, there's an oldie but goodie phrase out there. It's cliche, but it works. You know, it worked for me, and I'm sure it had worked for others. And that old school cliche is, when one door closes, another one opens. And I'm a living truth of that example. It's like, you know, back in the day, I used to rap. Yes, I dibbled and dabbled in the rapping thing. I got my flow on. You know, I did my thing. You know, I did my thing. I was a good lyricist. You know, don't get it fucked up. I'm still nice with the bars. You feel me? I'm still nice with the rhymes. But anyway, you know, back in the day, I used to be in the studio a lot. And, you know, I used to pick up on a lot of things that the engineer would do as far as audio editing, you know, making sure that the levels are on point, making sure that the sound waves don't bleed to the point where the sound gets distorted and, you know, it doesn't sound right. You know, it's how you manage the sound waves and how to make the sound full, you know, how to make the sound a lot fuller than the original recording. Pretty much it's all about mixing and mastering the audio so it can sound crisp and clear and full. You understand me? And, you know, I started this podcast not because I wanted to be a fucking guru. You know, I'm here to sell a fucking book. Real talk. Like, I like talking my shit every now and then. And I like the, you know, the praises that I get for the podcast. But writing books, you know, it's my bread and butter. I'm just, you know, I'm just talking my shit on this podcast. And I said all that to say, you know, when I first started this podcast, I really didn't know how to edit audio. You feel me? Yes, I was in the studio, but I wasn't hands-on. So, you know, I went to high school and junior high school with this particular person, with this other dude who I knew. And, you know, he agreed to, you know, edit a few episodes. You know, he agreed to edit a few episodes after I hit him up. I was like, yo, you know, I'm doing a podcast thing now. And can you edit the episodes for me? And, you know, to make a long conversation short, he agreed, but he ghosted me. He ghosted me. He went ghost, vamoose. You know, he disappeared on me. You feel me? But instead of crying over spilled milk, I went to the fucking fridge and poured me another glass. You feel me? Like, I didn't bitch about it. I did not, you know, insult him. I did not text him or call him and say, you bitch ass motherfucker, you left me hanging in. Like, I didn't do that. What I did was I bossed up. You know, I got a free, you know, audio program that I downloaded, and I pretty much taught myself how to edit, you know, audio based on my experiences in the studio. Like, my experiences in the studio had helped. You know, that helped me tremendously. But at the same time, I still had to teach myself how to edit podcast episodes. So for one, I wouldn't have to rely on somebody else to do it for me. And for two, I saved a lot of money. So instead of going to a studio, all I could do is, you know, go to my laptop instead of spending hundreds of dollars in studio hours just to let somebody else do something that I could have done myself. So that's a classic if all else fails moment. And I said all that to say, ladies and gentlemen, is that, you know, at the first sign of trouble, never give up. You know, never like cry about it, never bitch about it, never complain about it, never moan about it. Because I'm a firm believer that every problem has a solution. Once again, I'm a firm believer that every problem has a solution, and it's up to you to use your noggin, to use your brain to figure out the solutions to the problem. Because at the end of the day, what you think is a major problem is really something that could be fixed. Just like how I thought that, damn, my homie left me hanging. How I'm going to edit these podcast episodes? So I had to teach myself how to audio edit. And so far, so good. I'm having fun with it. You feel me? So that's a prime example of not only when one door closes, another door opens. It's another situation where for every solution, there's a problem. And you have to be the answer to the problem. You feel me? And on that note, This has been another episode of Swingers After Dark, and this is your host, Not Son, baby. Check out my website at www.notsonblaze.com. That's www.nahsunblaze.com. And check out my ebook, Fuck. Yes, you heard right, Fuck, F-U-C-K. It's on Nook, Kindle, iBooks, Google Play. Go get it. Shoot me an email at swingpodcast@gmail.com. That's swingpodcast@gmail.com. Hit me up with any questions or concerns that you may have. Rate, share, subscribe, and comment on this podcast. Dig. And on that note, until next time, peace.